the marathon is 26.2 miles, but it's the amount of time it takes that's the real issue. And even the world's greatest athletes, and this guy that's run under 2 hours now for the marathon, have to take on fuel when they're racing. And it's not something that can be avoided. You need to consider a strategy for that. At the same time, you need to have eaten well on the days before, as I've described, and the meal before breakfast before you go and do the event. Excuse me. Now, before you do your key long runs, we want to practice those meals the day before, breakfast, as I've described. But during the actual run itself, the problem we've got is you're constantly burning carbohydrate, and your carbohydrate or glycogen levels will drop. You want to try and run nice and even effort and even pace. But that dropping off of the energy can, if we don't keep putting in energy into the system, see us gradually slow and tire as the long runs and as the marathon goes on. But we can change that if we get our paces right, but we also are good at topping up as we go along. So I'm hoping you'll do some of your easy runs before breakfast, because that teaches the body to use stored fats, which you've got abundantly in your bloodstream, as trans fatty acids that can be broken down, and that's going to be a good energy source for you. And the bad news is that as much carbohydrate as you eat, you're only really going to have 90 minutes to 2 hours, perhaps, as most nutritionists will tell us, of energy working at the kind of intensities you're going to be working at here in a marathon before you start to tire and get hungry or fade away with energy. So whatever we do, no matter how well you've eaten, after 90 minutes to 2 hours, you've got a problem. But we don't take a gel after 2 hours or 2.5 hours or 3 hours, because by then it's too late. You've already dropped and we're empty and we can't get anything in to get you back up to where we need to be. What we want you to do is to have the good breakfast, have the good food in the days before, to be on the start line with your glycogen levels at a good amount, so your carbohydrate stores, or before your long run. But then what we want you to do is perhaps every 30 to 45 minutes, or more often than that, if you can cope with it, consider taking a gel or sports drink that has got carbohydrate in it, which is going to give you the energy and the sugars you need to keep going. And at the same time, it will have potassium, sodium, magnesium, the electrolytes you need in it to help you hydrate and get everything in the system working correctly. So a gel on your runs, for your long runs, and practicing them is really, really good. So tear the top off the gel. Don't whack it down in one quick go like it's a shot or a Jaeger bomb. Take it over perhaps a 3-5 minute period. Perhaps it takes you a mile even to take this gel. You sip a little bit, you run on. You sip a little bit, you run on, and you keep sipping it until it's gone. And it's going to take you perhaps 3-5 minutes or more to consume that gel. And that sugars will go into the system, onto the stomach wall, and be absorbed into the bloodstream for you, and will give you a top up of your energy. So your energy stores are still coming down, but rather than coming down like this, they're coming down with a far more shallow line, and we're topping up every 30-40 minutes all the time in our long runs, and on event day itself, to stop that drop off, and then hopefully prevent you from having that awful moment where you hit the wall, because you'll have heard about this, where you deplete completely and are reduced to walking and feeling absolutely awful, and then you struggle walking in all the way to the finish line. You don't want that, and it's totally avoidable with a good nutrition strategy and a good gel strategy on the way around. Of course, you might say you really hate gels, although do try sipping them, like I said, because that tends to cure it for most people. But if you really don't get on with gels, then it's going to be sports drinks. And sports drink, something like a High Five energy source. There's lots of brands out there that will do a carbohydrate with electrolyte sports drink, and you'll take that. You'll need to sip on that as well, and you might do that every half hour, 45 minutes. You will need to consume a reasonable amount of fluid over a gradual period of time, though, to get in the same amount of carbohydrate as you would have done that's in the gel, which is probably therefore easier to digest because the volume is less. So it's your choice, but sports drinks and the gels really work. and it will give you the energy to keep you moving and running well on event day. And who knows, if you get it really well, right, you'll actually pick up in the second half, which some people do, because you've paced yourself so well and you feel really good. So do think about your gels and your sports drink strategy.